Now, going into this legislative session, we have two distinct sets of challenges ahead of us. First is to deal with the immediate revenue shortfall that has left our state budget with a $600 million gap between revenues and last year's expenditures. The second challenge is how, even in the midst of that revenue crisis, can we push forward to pursue the reforms that will make Oklahoma a more prosperous state for generations to come. Now, voters understand these challenges. And in the last election, the people of Oklahoma had the opportunity to speak. And they sent a very clear message to us. They told us that it's time to get serious about controlling spending and that the growth of government shouldn't outpace the private sector. They ask us to eliminate government bureaucracy that holds the private sector back from growth. And they reminded our government officials that when times are hard, that the public expects a leaner, more efficient government, not one that raises taxes to avoid making the tough decisions and sacrifice. That is the philosophy I've worked with and embraced as I've worked on my administration and the next budget I'm getting ready to offer, and I've worked with our legislative leaders to prepare for this session. The agenda I'm presenting today represents a forward-thinking plan of action that will lay the groundwork for generations of prosperity. It will create jobs and grow the economy. It will reform government to make it more efficient, more effective. It will work towards a healthier, better educated Oklahoma. And ultimately, it will build a state whose future is secure in a competitive global economy. Now, our first priority will be to balance the state budget without raising taxes. We can do that by carefully prioritizing our spending and enacting government reform. I have proposed a series of cost-saving measures that will make government more efficient, more effective, while focusing on eliminating wasteful spending. Those cost-saving measures are essential because the bottom line is we can't spend more than we have. It's real simple. Some of the cuts and reforms I am proposing will be painful, but I'm not asking our state agencies to do the impossible. I don't believe that there's anyone in the private sector or even in government that does not believe that our state agencies can't find ways to save money. And the fact of the matter is, if we grow government faster than our economy, then our state will sink under the weight of government spending. To prevent that, every agency will have to tighten its belt, just like our families and our businesses around the country have been doing. We can do this even as we keep our commitments to important priorities. Priorities like keeping our citizens safe, building our transportation infrastructure, educating our children, and caring for the less fortunate, the sick, and the elderly. And to reflect these priorities in my budget, agencies that deal with these issues will receive lesser cuts than the rest of state government. But the reality remains, all of us will have to do more with less. And I'm asking our agency heads to resist the urge to tell the people of Oklahoma what you can't do. Instead, tell the people of Oklahoma what you can do. Find ways to innovate and succeed. And just as countless Oklahomans have found a way to move forward through this recession, to put food on the table when times are hard, find a way forward. All of us in government can find ways to improve the services to our customers, the taxpayers, in a more efficient and effective manner. That's why I'm asking our legislative leaders to send me a series of reforms that will provide for a smaller, smarter state government, a better business climate for job growth and job retention, improved access to health care, and higher academic achievement for our children. That is Oklahoma's roadmap to prosperity. Now, that roadmap begins with one goal: to create the very best business climate to retain and expand jobs and investment in Oklahoma. Our actions must send a signal to the rest of the nation that Oklahoma is ready and open for business. I recently attended the National Governors Association conference, and I ran into one of our neighbors, Governor Rick Perry. Governor Rick Perry told me that he'd been using some scare tactics in Texas. He'd been telling legislators that they had better get busy to pass his pro-business reforms because Oklahoma and Mary Fallin were nipping at his heels. And I told him, you're darn right. And you better watch out, because Oklahoma is on the move, and we are dead serious about building a state that's pro-business, pro-growth, and committed to bringing more and better jobs to Oklahoma. Now, we can start by reforming our workers' compensation system into one that takes care of the injured workers in a more timely fashion, reduces fraud and waste, and puts the brakes on runaway costs that has spiraled upwards for years. Our system is one of the most expensive and inefficient workers' compensation systems in the nation. And in some cases, when our workers get hurt, we pay them to stay home. We need to start focusing on what workers can do, not what workers can't do. And if at all possible, we need to get our injured workers healthy, retrain them, and get them back into suitable jobs. So, to the legislators here today, I'm challenging you to send me a reform bill that reduces legal and medical costs, gets our workers healthy and back to work, and allows our claims to be processed quickly and efficiently without unnecessary expenses to our businesses. I'm also asking our legislators to work with me to get a lawsuit reform package signed into law, one that includes a hard cap of $250,000 for non-economic damages. We believe in justice for every Oklahoman, but we don't believe in jackpot justice. And excessive awards for non-economic damages hurts businesses, destroys jobs, and gives a bad name to a legal system whose professionals are, in most part, dedicated to ensuring fair outcomes for all parties. So moving forward, we should also carefully scrutinize our rules and our regulations so that we can study how they might affect our economy and whether they actually achieve their stated goals or whether they simply just throw up bureaucratic red tape for businesses. As another tool for economic development, I'm asking our legislature to create a governor's closing fund so that when a business is deciding between, say, Texas or Oklahoma, we can reel in those jobs, get those jobs for Oklahoma, and get the revenue that we need for our state. And that's why I'll continue to support the implementation of the income tax cut trigger, which lowers taxes for Oklahoma families and businesses and continues to make our state more competitive. And on the subject of tax credits, I know a lot's been said. Representative Dank and Senator Mazie are conducting a study to investigate which credits are effective and create jobs and which ones do not. I'm looking forward to the results of that study, and our course of action will be real simple. Only tax credits that create jobs will stay. And for instance, in my budget, we begin the process of restoring the aerospace engineer tax credit, which brings good, high-tech jobs to Oklahoma. However, for the tax credits that do not create jobs, they're going to be eliminated. Okay. If we can do these things, reduce the cost of doing business here in Oklahoma, get government and legal hurdles out of the way of private sector growth, and retain jobs and businesses here while attracting new ones, we can do more and think longer term than just ending the recession. We can make this state more competitive, more prosperous, more successful for years to come. So I'm asking you to join me in pursuing these goals. Now, I'm also going to ask you to join me in another goal, and that is the goal of creating a more modern, more efficient, and effective state government. For the past several months, I have worked with some of the most innovative minds in both the private sector and the public sector to look at targeting waste and inefficiency in government. Today, we are proposing the first round of a series of reforms that streamline and modernize state agencies. For starters, we're going to require that state government move from a paper to electronic billing and payment services. Currently, the state of Oklahoma pays $13.50 for every check it writes. That's inefficient. Moving to a paperless billing and payment system will be faster, more efficient, and will save the state of Oklahoma around $3.5 million a year. We'll create a user-friendly, one-stop shop for businesses so entrepreneurs looking to start companies can go to only one location instead of several locations to do their paperwork, because it shouldn't be easier to start a business in Texas than it is in Oklahoma. I'm also going to ask our colleges and universities to move off their individual purchasing card systems and onto the state system. A move that will save the state of Oklahoma $1.6 million annually and will bring more accountability and more transparency to the process. Oklahoma State University recently made these changes, and I'd like to commend the university and President Burns Hargis for their leadership in this issue. And in the next year, I'm also proposing a consolidation of IT and personnel services throughout the state agencies. And while we're at it, I'm going to call upon our agencies to use a uniform financial system and administrative service system so we can save money. The state of Oklahoma doesn't need 76 different financial bookkeeping programs. It just needs one. And by moving towards one system and consolidating services, we'll save a whopping $146 million a year in our state budget. Now, I already have commitments from our Secretary of State, from the Departments of Health and Agriculture and Commerce to move to such a system, and I want to personally thank our agencies and the individuals for their dedication in creating more efficiency in state government, so thank you so much. These are the kind of simple, common sense solutions that we can pursue to save taxpayer dollars. I'm challenging our citizens and our government employees to help me find more ways that we can save money and cut waste. Tell us how we can make our state government more customer-friendly, more efficient. If you have an idea, share it with my administration. I actually have a new website set up that is www.ideas.ok.gov, and tell us where we need to look and help us find waste and help us find the abuse. Now, besides finding ways to make government operate more efficiently, we also need to work this legislative session to address one of the most serious long-term budget problems facing our state, our unfunded and unsustainable pension systems. Currently, Oklahoma has an unfunded liability of $16 billion. Without taking action, our pension systems will run out of money, and the consequences for the state, our employees, and our economy will be severe. I know that our public employees and our legislature do not want Oklahoma to go down the same path as other states like California, states that have refused to address their pension problems. And I'm looking forward to working with both the House and the Senate to passing reforms that will protect the solvency of our pension systems. These reforms are necessary if the state of Oklahoma is going to keep its commitments to our current public employees without jeopardizing our future and the health of our economy and of our state. Now, we talked about the health of our economy. It's also important that we turn our attention to the health and welfare of our citizens. Studies now rank Oklahoma 46 in the nation for the health of our citizens. That ranking is unacceptable. And it comes hand in hand with lost workforce productivity, hundreds of millions of dollars in medical bills, and thousands of preventable deaths to our citizens. For Oklahoma to move forward, it must get healthier. We can do that by increasing access to affordable health care through free market health care initiatives, but also by encouraging personal responsibility. These changes can and should come from the people of Oklahoma and not Washington. This November, Oklahomans sent a message when they voted to pass a ballot initiative stating that the federal government cannot force our citizens to purchase health insurance. Many Oklahomans, including myself, feel that the federal mandate is unconstitutional and wrong. That's why Attorney General Scott Pruitt and I have acted to add Oklahoma to the list of the states that are now challenging the President's health care law in court. And while we pursue that challenge, the state of Oklahoma must continue to work on local solutions to help our citizens gain access to affordable health insurance. We can do that by supporting innovative state-based programs like Insure Oklahoma, a public-private partnerships which helps small businesses provide affordable health insurance options to their employees. Likewise, Speaker Still has also introduced the foundation of another Oklahoma-based reform effort with potential to help health insurance consumers. 2 years ago, Speaker Still passed legislation authorizing the creation of a website where health insurance information in our state could be compared side by side. In the coming years, we'll take that idea and we're going to build upon it, allowing Oklahoma consumers to actually purchase health insurance through an Oklahoma exchange, knowing that the plan they have chosen has the right benefit at the right price. So, Speaker Still, thank you for that. But ultimately, the choice to live healthier and to be healthier is just that. It's a choice. I'm happy to say that our Department of Health has introduced innovative public-private initiatives like the Certified Healthy Business Program to encourage healthy living and eating. Currently, over 900 private businesses have become certified. And I'm excited to see our healthy living initiatives grow to include the Certified Healthy Schools and the Certified Healthy Community Programs. So thank you to our Secretary of Health and Human Services. Thank you for that. I am asking our citizens to take responsibility for their own health so we can build a healthier, more prosperous state, business by business, school by school, block by block. I'm also asking our citizens to take responsibility for their lifestyles and their well-being. It is no secret that many Oklahomans struggle with addiction issues that can lead to incarceration. As a result, Oklahoma has one of the highest rated states in the nation in female incarceration. And as we know, the costs to our state and our communities don't end with the original offender. Children with a parent in prison are 5 times more likely to end up in our correctional system. As Oklahomans, we must always place a priority on protecting our citizens and keeping our streets safe. But we can be tough on crime and also smart on crime. That's why I'm continuing to offer my full support to programs like Women in Recovery and other initiatives that address substance abuse, prevent incarceration, and allow more families to stay together. By fighting the hold that substance abuse has on our communities, we can make Oklahoma healthier and safer while working together to reduce incarceration rates. Now, lastly, there is nothing more important to the future and the long-term prosperity of Oklahoma than education. It is the cornerstone of our prosperous society. Now, we have pockets of excellence in education throughout Oklahoma. Many of our teachers, like my sisters-in-law, Ramin and Jane, along with many of our administrators, can be counted on as some of the best in the country. But the unfortunate truth is that Oklahoma comes up short when it comes to quality education. We can do better, and we must do better in a challenging environment in the midst of a serious and prolonged budget shortfall. It is critically important that we restructure our spending and our educational programs in order to get the money to the classroom where it can do the most good. Now, that will require us cutting down on overhead and educational bureaucracy by sharing administrative resources. And like in any industry, we need to find ways to encourage innovation and good results. That's why I'm working with Superintendent Barisi to find available funds for a new public-private partnership where private money matches state dollars to find innovative learning programs that are shown to increase student performance and close the achievement gap. And to address the limited circumstances where teachers are underperforming, I'm asking the legislature to send me a bill that will eliminate the practice known as trial de novo. A system that makes it nearly impossible to dismiss an underperforming teacher. By implementing these reforms, we'll make the system more accountable and better, and will reward good results. Now, we have a lot more work to do in education. It has been shown that the first through the third grade, a child learns to read, but the fourth grade on, a child reads to learn. Our children must be able to read at grade-appropriate levels. So, I will work with our Superintendent of Education and my Secretary of Education to take steps towards eliminating social promotion. We also need to make some common sense changes that save money, like moving towards electronic textbooks where appropriate. We must also reduce remediation rates and develop a better and more accurate system to track student progress so that we'll know what's working and what's not working in education. In the next few years, I am confident that Oklahoma will be the beneficiary of true education reform that delivers on many of these fronts. Superintendent Janet Barisi and our Secretary of Education, Phyllis Hudecki, are two of the strongest, most dedicated, qualified women to ever spearhead education reform in our state. And I'm excited to have the opportunity to work with both you ladies. And I know the legislature is just as committed as they are to improving our schools, and it must be, because nothing, and I mean nothing, is more important to the success of our state than raising the bar in education. And with the right tools, our children will be the business leaders, the entrepreneurs, the social workers, the teachers of our future. They will be the innovators and our civic leaders. But to get there tomorrow, they need us to make the right choices today. To budget responsibly, to ensure that government operates efficiently and effectively, to reform agencies that don't, to pursue an agenda that is pro-jobs and pro-business, that empowers our citizens to improve our health, and to recommit ourselves to providing quality education and quality schools. Now, that won't happen overnight, but it starts here today. 122 years ago, many thousands of pioneers came in covered wagons to unsettled lands in Oklahoma. They built tent cities in the unsettled wilderness. In 2011, we are done with tent cities and covered wagons, but now we build skyscrapers, and we build jet engines. We develop new crops, and we find new cures for disease. And our future today is every bit as exciting as it was in the past. We now have the tools to move Oklahoma forward, to forge a prosperous future, and to ensure the next century of history in Oklahoma is as impressive as the last. Let us work together to build a future for ourselves, for our children, and our children's children. In closing, let's just share this one simple goal, that every year when we return to these chambers for our State of the State, that our state will be stronger, will be healthier, will be better educated, and a more prosperous state than it was the year before. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless the state of Oklahoma.